Welcome to another episode of the Guile treatment. We're going to be talking about the Chicago PTC this week. A little bit late, but we were busy with spoilers and schedules weren't really lining up. So we've got Jeremy Ray joining this week. Barrett is not trapped at work for
or
change.
driving.
And we got Chris as usual, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess so. We got Rob. We're the only two constants, I guess. So
Yeah. So Jeremy won the Chicago PTC with a pretty terrible character that nobody has ever won an event with before.
Oh, right.
So a pretty big accomplishment. You want to talk about your dad?
Wow, this is a really awkward show for you, right? Because Barrett's won with her and Jeremy's won with her.
Yeah,
it's just
you're
awkward.
like an idiot.
I don't know what you're talking about. The evidence is mounting.
And on my screen, you're boxed in by both of them, so it's like they're gonna gang up on you now.
The best part is that Jeremy Ray knows that he thought Cassie was a piece of shit too.
What he said on stream, because I watched him play Chris Nixon. He said on stream, this was the Cassie deck I was gonna bring to Nats, and so he was already willing to bring it to Nationals.
When I did my pre-tier list though, before we saw support, she was dead last.
Yeah. Oh, it was for us too, 100%.
Yeah, because
they agree with me. They're just they get all mixed up and her support's really good, so she's good. She's not good, guys. She has really good cards and she plays them kind of well. She has Shadow Inheritance. Great. Congratulations.
Well,
she's a good Shadow Inheritance.
She has 20 cards with her face.
Okay, but the thing is, J-Ray's deck won without ever needing Shadow Inheritance. But I watched him on stream. My deck only wins with Shadow Inheritance. Are you kidding me?
My deck definitely played a very different sort of Shadow Inheritance. It didn't lean on it as hard.
Sure.
And often I was leaning on it as a defensive card much more than an offensive card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, a lot of times Shadow Inheritance is how you close out the game with with Cassie. That's your we're ending the game now. I've got two.
You get critical mass.
Sometimes you get 4 Shadow Inheritance, you still can't win. I mean,
As for me, Shadow Inheritance was the threat I like to have around for my opponent to go, I can't go all in on one big thing. Specifically Congo from Akuma or something like that. So sometimes I could get free damage with my Shadow Inheritance, but I wouldn't. I always wanted it to be ready as a defensive threat. I just didn't want them to feel like they could attack into me recklessly. And they had to respect the ability for me to pass a block at -12, like I did against Chris Nixon to block the Congo. 2 copies with 3 cards in card pool to give my block modifier, or 2 cards in card pool? I don't even remember. It gave my block -1,000,000.
Yeah. Whatever. I just remember hearing Phil Burt's doing the math on the side. I'm like, stop doing the math. It passes no matter what. Stop doing that.
I know. You can't just do the math. You have to be well, okay, commit, got it, all right.
Well, and then they're like, and then he was all well, he flipped over the card to hack the check, and he used debt to be paid. He was like, all that considered, still pass the check, relax.
Yeah.
Slow down, guys.
Well, it's funny, too, because I think you can hear me talking all right, so it's -6, and I'm talking about with just the 1 copy, because there's 2 combinations.
Yep.
And I'm and then I do the math up to the count, and then someone goes, oh, yeah, it's -12, and I go, oh, yeah, it's -12.
It's pass.
And I just ready everything that I would have potentially committed that I was thinking about committing. I was yeah, no, this passes by 1,000.
Yeah.
It's a 15 speed attack, and I passed it by 100.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
Yeah. So it was just something like that. So yeah, I guess part of it too is I have a lot of questions too about your matchups. Because this is the second PTC now this season that we have seen these 4-handers doing well.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
I have a lot to say about especially the Goro a little bit more than the Hoitzel.
Yeah.
But I think that the meta is actually a little ripe for characters like this right now.
Okay.
So I don't know where we want to start with the PTC discussion, but I do have a lot to say about that because that's something that I walked away from that weekend thinking.
I don't know.
Sure, we can start with rounds. How'd your rounds go?
Start with your rounds.
Because
that's fine.
Yeah. I didn't get to tune in until tops the next day because
and Chris can atone for this. I don't actually like being on stream that much.
That is very true. He usually declines when I ask.
Chris asked me 3 times, I think, during Swiss rounds to go on stream, and I said no all 3 times.
Yes, he did.
I
forced him in tops. I forced him. He had no choice.
If I go on stream, I will go back and watch the stream to look for mistakes because I can't help myself if I watch myself play on stream. And then I see people backseat playing my deck, and I get really mad. I really hate it. There's stuff from my from the Hoitzel match in the finals, where people in chat are like, "Why does he keep emptying his whole hand? Like, that's so dumb. This is an aggro Hoitzel deck."
Yeah.
I'm like, if I hold one block, it's just going to make me take more damage.
Yeah.
Like, one block isn't going to do anything for me against Hoitzel. Do you know that Hoitzel says if you don't plan on blocking, he has no abilities?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to play all my cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not blocking. That's a blank 340 or whatever, 438.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't plan on blocking, he has no abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's long been my Hoitzel strategy for anything but 7-handers.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like in the stream chat, there was someone like, "What? He's playing so disrespectful. He's playing so crazy." I'm like, holding one card isn't going to do anything, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is a race, and I need to get into this race as fast as I can.
Back in rounds, the Goro, Sean, did he beat you?
That was my only loss.
His only loss was Sean.
Goro.
Sean beat you with the Goro. Now, what did he?
I have that list up.
What did he do? Did he just like get missile launcher turn 2 and Dark Kirito and just do all that, or was it more of like an elaborate plan for that?
Stuff his bricks is in his deck too.
Yeah. So for one, just on the general note of the rounds, I played like all the Chicago players almost through the rounds. Like I played an incredible amount of them. Like I played a straight run of every Chicago player pretty much through the top rounds, and like most of them were very good in playing like decks. But you could tell that their meta was in a little bit of a bubble, and that's where like the Goro and Hoitzel came from.
Yeah.
I joked at the PTC there was no natural predators in the meta for those decks. Like Jackie really is a predator for Goro decks.
Yep.
Jackie really crushes Goro.
No cards in hand, hits really hard with each attack,
and also can block 5 times, plays bang, plays things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like she's a natural predator for Goro, she's a natural predator for Hoitzel, and decks like that. But there was like they had no Jackies locally or anything, and they're just playing decks.
We haven't seen a Jackie since like Nats. Have we?
Yeah.
There might have been one at Reno.
Ryan Fields played her, I think.
Okay.
Ryan Fields played good.
But like I remember projecting for the California PTC that I thought they were going to show up because after Liu Kang got banned and we saw in the Collinsville PTC and it got second place, that's the last time we saw it from Reno. And I wrote it down. I was like, I think Jackie's going to do well, not only because I sold cards, I sold my last Airgrounds matches to California weeks before it, which was my inside knowledge. But like you performed well with the deck. It was a huge showing at Nationals, and the Street Fighter versus Darkstalker characters didn't do anything to that character.
Correct.
And so I would disagree a little bit with that last point, but
I guess it was more so that like the deck didn't change drastically, and the characters that came out to fight against it, you just had to learn how to adapt to them. But nobody's playing this deck, and so I actually thought you were going to come to this PTC and like show up and be like, "Why is nobody playing Jackie still?" And you were going to show up and play Jackie again and show us some new stuff. But again, nobody's playing this character, and it's blowing me away.
I know that Garrison Bennell was thinking about playing her, but he
switched off.
He switched off because he lost to his wife playing Shinnok like 6 matches in a row that morning. So he just switched to Jay.
Draw cards against that.
It's a terrible matchup.
It's a terrible matchup. So there's no point to do it. But before we get further into Jeremy's discussion, I want to go over the predictions real quick.
Oh God, I was awful.
Okay, so I won because I was closest without going over. I had 39. And there was
I was gonna say we had basically between 30 and 40, right? Then it was like 50.
Yeah, it was 49 people. Winners, nobody got it. Iari was closest with Goro. That was the closest.
What did I say this time? I don't even remember.
Rob, you had Vega and Jackie, and Phil almost had it, and then Tam took him out. So.
I had the second seat, so that's cool.
And
Jackie's no one's playing Jackie.
And then,
well, I was like, Jeremy Ray's going. He'll play Jackie, right? Dick.
I thought he was going to play Elena, so that's why I picked Elena. So I was just like, he's going to play as Elena.
I can talk about that too. I really was planning on playing Elena up until about a week or so before the event.
Sure. And there was no diversity, so I'll update the tally. I'll update the tally boards. I'm the only one who got points from this event, so I'm still winning. So
yeah. Game.
And then we'll get predictions for Atlanta at the end of the show. So we'll get predictions for that because I doubt Soul Calibur is going to be out. So we're going to have the same meta, so we can pick all that fun stuff. So yeah, sorry, go ahead, continue.
Okay, so I'll do just a quick abridge of the rounds. I had a couple of rounds against Chicago people in the early rounds, and the deck just performed well. I didn't really have any big problems. I got a draw in round 3 or 4 with oh boy, I can't forget his name. I can't think of his name right now, but he was playing Kodokan.
Nick Mecchia.
Yeah, Nick Mecchia. And that was a tough draw. Because if I had a little bit more time in the round, I would have been in a pretty good spot to win that match.
Sure.
So I was a little frustrated. And his deck played really good defense fundamentally, so the game just took a long time. And in the one game, he just eviscerated me with his gimmicks. I can't even remember what it was, but I just know that
I think he is off of life, so he's doing Fallen Angels, Vengeance of Fallen Angels.
Oh yeah, so he Fallen Angeled me. He triple Fallen Angeled me in one turn with Surveyor and Kotal Khan stuff.
Yeah.
And I died.
Spicy.
It's a 12 damage throw.
Wait, like 6 plus 6 damage for
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we give it throw. Okay.
Yeah, give it throw.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
I just
That's
couldn't
cool.
block the third one, and it killed me.
Sure.
So I got a draw there. I played like Chicago Reptile, and that was close, but I got him.
Jeff. I believe his name's Jeff. Yeah. Jeff showed up Sunday and played his Reptile deck for League. It was pretty fun.
And I got through 2, and I needed a win and in our. I was in a.
It was winning in.
Winning in.
There were no 4-2s that made it. So
Yeah. But so I won my 5th round, and in the 6th round, it was just play for seed, and I played against Degoro.
Oh, strong. Yeah.
Yeah, and I played against Agoro, and I really wanted to try and get a good speed to avoid the Kuma matchup. But part of why I played Cassie is I think Cassie's one of the decks that can beat Akuma.
Mm-hmm.
And my deck's very teched towards beating Akuma.
Yeah.
So I was okay with the idea of playing him. I was just trying to get a seed where I wouldn't have to play him going first, and then Chris Nixon went undefeated. So that was out the window.
Yeah.
And that Goro deck, some people really criticized it. I think it's really good deck. I think it's really smart. I think it's really simple. During Swiss, he turned to the heck out of me in one of those games with a bunch of Shokin grabs.
Oh, sure.
Like,
I believe it.
he just eviscerated me with a bunch of Shokin grabs. Game 2, when I went first, I won very handily. He just didn't have quite the defensive prowess to stand up to getting Nutcrackered 100 times. And then in Game 3, it was a very similar story.
That's canon, by the way.
No, it's different Nutcracker, but yeah, whatever. We get it.
His
Same
deck
family.
is 59 cards, and all the cards are dedicated to protecting his ideas, burning cards in his deck, and firing off his most powerful attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So in Game 3, he goes Missile Launcher, or Folktale, Missile Launcher, Foundation, gets 2 momentum off it because I couldn't block either of them. Goes to my turn. I go, all right, I'm going to try to hold some low blocks. I can't do 40 right now. And then he goes, Dark Chiroto, Missile Launcher, fully multiple Dark Chiroto, Missile Launcher.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And this was, in Swiss, he overkilled me by about 30 damage in both the games he won when he went first. And he won hard going first. Like, I didn't do anything in those games.
Yeah.
So when I paired into him in Top Cuts later, I was convinced that I was just going to die again. Like, I just didn't see any way to win it.
I remember you saying something like that. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, it was so hopeless during rounds to win going second. Like, he just had overkilled me so badly with so little ways for me to do anything to him.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very scary thing. But I figure if we go into that, I guess we cut to the top 8 now, where I played Chris Nixon for 3 hours.
And you can see that on the channel on Rockford CCG. You can check it out in the past live streams. It's up there.
So after losing the Gore, I was a seed, and I had to play against undefeated Chris Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
And what was one of my favorite games of UFS I ever played, and also just an incredibly difficult, incredibly long game where like my brain was so fried after. It was so much math, so much TK Mastery math. So much. Every game, the TK Masteries were falling from the sky. So I had a bunch of them against him, they're very good against the Kuma. He has a lot of incremental pump that he kind of needs to activate to get his stuff going.
Mm-hmm.
So like the TK Masteries were just incredible against him. But I was playing a constant game of how much is one foundation worth to me every time I checked a 5 for the TK Mastery.
Right. Yeah.
Like, how many of these foundations do I need? What is like the risks? There are situations where I couldn't deal with the stun, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to account for, I'm going to lose one of the stun, lose one for TK Mastery. Will my Shadow Inheritance still be up? All 3 of those games, I'm reasonably sure went into deadlock on both sides.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, they did. Yep.
And it was interesting because I watched. That was the only game that was actually like able to sit down and watch, and I watched basically the entire match. And what you're saying is exactly true. And like one of the things too is like you had to keep doing the math for the TKs, you had to keep doing the math for if you could block an attack and if everything was. But it was on the same time like if you chose to unload as many foundations as you would like at a given time and then go into attack, whenever there was an attack that had to come after that, if you didn't have the correct like attack pieces with Curse Blats and or like you're the few not over yet that you were playing, you had to then do the math offensively of like, okay, well, is this still even worth it for the push that I'm trying to get, where next turn he can hack the checks that I'm playing for the attacks and then still do it for my blocks. And so like I saw that math, and that's why it took so long, as well as that it was late. So like
right. The math was just awful. And also, and this is something that everybody who, if they haven't played against Akuma yet, which is, you should have by now if you're competing, but if you haven't yet, you're constantly trying to figure out if you're going to die to a reversal Congo.
Yep.
Like, just constantly. So, like, every time I attacked in, anytime I thought about, like, if I overextend here, does a Congo, like, straight up kill me or cut me down to, like, 4 or 5? Like, can I deal with it if he reverses it with here? And more so for my deck, because I couldn't really deal with it that well if he reversed. My deck is can I kill him if he does reverse and doesn't kill me?
Sure.
That was a lot of my mental headspace. Like, if I had to play an attack and then he reversed Congo because he saw an opening that wouldn't kill me but would do a shitload, I needed to be able to go, okay, I can punish this by killing him for making that play.
And it was really nail-biting, too, watching, because you had won game 1 going second. And then exactly, and like I was watching it, and I even wrote in chat in game 2, and I was all like, all right, Jerry's attacking here, and Chris Nixon keeps playing these slow turns because we're going to deadlock at this point, and Jerry's going in, and I'm like, man, Chris Nixon, I can't see his hand from the camera angle, but I was like, he's going to block these and eat something, and then on the last one, he's going to do the reversal Congo, and that's exactly how he won.
It's exactly how it went.
And I was just like, and the math that you were doing was just slightly off on whether or not you lived from it. I think it was exactly lethal on that reversal, and like all that math you calculated based off of the ready card so that you could block it or not. It was in that exact moment where it was like, these guys are exhausted, and that was that moment.
Tough. I will say, I at some point, like midway through that turn, I accepted that like a Congo would kill me because I didn't think I could live through his following turn.
Yeah,
he hit a point
out loud too.
Yeah, his point hit a board state, and my life total was down to like 15 or 16 at that point, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to block all of these, and most of these are going to do half of my life.
Sure,
right.
And like if he can push any 2 through, I'm going to die. And like I looked at my hand, and I looked at the situation, and I'm like, I might be able to kill him. I don't think I can not die. So like we got to try for the kill plan here. And it just didn't pan out. And, like, the Congo came even later than I thought because I really played that turn going, well, if he doesn't have multiple non-prog blocks, I'll be fine. I think he had 3. Like, and I was just like, yeah, okay. Like, he had 3, I think, non-prog blocks and the Congo. So I just, like, it was either 2 or 3.
No, it was already extremely close. Sorry, just from game 1 because he got pretty unlucky, to be fair. Like as the Akuma 2 player, because I think he checked every single fade in game 1, and I think at any point from him going first in game 1, if he had 1 on your kill turn, I think it was bad.
Yes, there's a couple situations where I tried to play a round fade, and he just never had it, and it was like almost uncomfortable.
And then in game 2, where you did play around it just like that, and he still played it, or he like reviewed one at one point, a 2 in game 2, and I'm like, okay, and you're like, all right, he's got 1, obviously.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, there's the double fade hand, and that was what was clogging his hand. Because he was getting very action-heavy hands, and they weren't doing anything. And then he was reviewing those actions or whatever, and like getting rid of them as when he could, and then it left him in situations where I could tell, like, there's one of those games where I was like, are all 4 revokes in pile? Because I think I've seen all 4 revokes, and it wasn't that late in that game.
Yeah,
and they were all gone already, and I was like, oh. Yeah. Like, I don't need to play around revoke at all anymore. This is going to go wonderfully for me.
Yeah.
Like, it was tough. But, like, my not over yets came out in game 2 and 3. Like, I sided them out after game 1 because it's just so vulnerable to fade. Right? And he was playing, like, I didn't know his deck list, but I counted at least 3, I think, in game 1 throughout the course of, like, reviews and checking and stuff. So I was like, yep, I'm not walking any of these not over yet into fade.
Now,
that's one of the hardest parts.
Now, in the matchup, I know that a big card for you was Radical Edward, because you were able to pretty much stop his turn anytime he tried to go in because you just committed mission fees. And granted, Akuma can still kill people without mission fees because we've all done it and stuff like that. But I've died to him. I've also died to him without mission fees. But It's just that it slows him down a bit. Like it makes him have to play almost 3 attacks instead of 2 in a way sometimes.
So that's almost an understatement of what it does to him. It's really hard to interact with the stuff Akuma does.
That's true.
But Akuma's push is deceptively bad if you can deal with the stun, and he doesn't have admission fees.
Yeah.
Cassie can deal with the stun better than anyone.
Yeah.
Just about. And then if you keep admission fees offline, there's just not much he can do at all to push. And that's why he was playing so slow. Because he was just like, these attack turns aren't going to do anything. I'm playing a bunch of mids that aren't going to get fast, or if I try to make them fast with incremental pumps, it's going to TK them down to 0.
Yeah.
I took a bunch of gyro blades and gyro attacks down to just 0 damage and ignored them.
Yeah.
Yep.
TK math threes.
That's one of the situations, too, where his Damnation came in clutch, because he saw Damnation across at least 2 of those games, and he used it for the Radical Edwards, and so it was just one of those things. And, I've always loved Radical Edward. It's for the reason why I played Eda 9 in the first place, because the card was so good at the time, and you got the additional benefit. And in Cassie, it's just for the commit effect, obviously.
Yeah, it's just for the commit. And, Cassie does, she runs a little light on high block, so it helps fill out that role, too. Because I wasn't running Artifice, I wasn't a big fan of it in there, and I didn't run any of Cassie's foundations, carrying the team or the other one.
Leading the team. Or carrying
the team. Yeah.
So, I was a little, light on high blocks, and I was a little light on Cassie cards in general. So, Radical Edward did that, but more importantly, in playtesting up into that event, I was having so many problems with Showtime.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Showtime was just a huge pain in my ass. And, admission fees, when it was unchecked, was killing me. It was just murdering me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, all those Radical Edwards were a full playset of Not Over Yet Until You Die, for a long time. Because Not Over Yet Until You Die, Cassie's incredibly good at leveraging.
I love that card.
I certainly just like picking up Akimbos all day, and that card lets you do that. But in testing, I was like, these 2 cards are killing me. What can I play? And it's funny because I looked at Loyal Friend, and I'm like, man, I can't play this card. There's too many non-blocks in this deck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, and sure, it's a little bit broader. I can hit
the other thing too is the rate on that isn't great.
Yeah, I can hit Evil Imposter. I can hit High Seas. Those are both good cards to hit too if you can set them up in a situation. But and then I was like, well, I need high blocks kind of still. And I looked at Red Edward, and then I looked at it a couple of times. I'm like, oh man, this is going to solve all these problems, isn't it? This is every problem that I'm having right now in these 2 of what I consider the strongest decks, Raptor and Akuma matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And putting that in instantly changed both of those matchups. It made the Raptor matchup go, which that was going badly, go much more evenly.
Yeah.
And it made the Akuma matchup suddenly feel like it was a little bit favorable, which was crazy because it was not going great. Generally, I would just die once an admission fees was online, and I just couldn't quite, muster enough to defend all the Congos or whatever. The lists I was testing against were a little heavier in Sekia too, which was giving me problems in testing also.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So Chris's was actually very light on Sekia.
I think he only ran 1 main board, right?
It was 1 or 2. I didn't quite get it out. So yeah, Radical Edward was the big revelation card for me leading up to the event. And I found it on very little testing with that deck.
Sure.
Because I was going to play Elena. And I tested Elena extensively for 4 weeks before I was like, I can't play her. She's not there yet.
Yeah.
And I made the switch to Cassie deck that I tested a lot before Nats, but hadn't tested really since then. Or so I just kind of found updates.
Mm-hmm.
The few updates that there wasn't a lot of changes.
Agreed.
It was more meta decisions like Radical Edward, and then Reborn Seraphic Wing. That was
I was going to ask you about that card too. If you want to go into some thoughts about that.
Yeah. So it really shined in the Akuma matchup there, especially on stream, where as long as I don't get faded, I have lethal in one of those games. I think it's game 3.
Yeah.
And I just go to the Reborn at the end, and it doesn't matter if he fades it, right? Because we were deadlocked.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
But all 3 parts of that card are very useful for Cassie. I will say this, with the new stuff we've seen from Maxi and some other considerations I've had, I don't know if that card stays in that deck past Soul Calibur.
Sure.
I can totally see that as true.
But I've made a few changes since the PTC, just from stuff I learned. There was a few cards that underperformed, and a few cards that overperformed. I think Reborn actually overperformed in Chicago, and I feel bad cutting it. All three parts of it are relevant. Getting Cassie's E revoked really hurts, and it protects you from getting your E revoked since you're usually using it as a lead-in. With the, enhances can't be negated after you use the R. The R hit very relevant Evil Imposters, very relevant IC's Adventure. It's a timing window that beats IC's Adventure, which is pretty rare. And then, it's Static won me both of my games against Chris. We got in a deadlock both times. I was able to play around Fade. I was able to create opportunities against his very difficult foundations that, he played a lot of go to one of uniques and a lot of tricky defensive foundations that I had to get down at times. And, he himself, he loves incremental defensive advantages. And so, being able to go after those was very, very useful to me. So the card overperformed spectacularly. And I don't regret having it in that event, but I don't know, two of Naxi's cards are very enticing. And to be honest, I'm taking a good look at Soul Devourer too. Soul Devourer tested really well in the Cassie deck before the event, and I went with Reborn Wing instead. I don't know if that was entirely correct. Soul Devourer on defense in Cassie is incredible. You use Cassie's Enhance, you block with it, and then the next card they play, they can't get around it. You draw whatever card you want.
Yeah.
From the Cassie stack. So
and they don't attack you again. Well, or play any cards. You draw them anyway. So
yeah. If they don't play any cards, cool. They ended their turn because you Soul Devourer. Feels great.
Yeah, so, it's one of those things too. The perk on why I like the Reborn Seraphatic Wing is what you're talking about is the downside and why I hated playing that matchup against Dave Wagner, and it's because the deadlock that you just don't have access to under the symbol essentially, and just that little bit on that card in a character like Cassie that's flooding her card pool can do so much, and you proved it exactly. Exactly.
It was so good. It was there's lots of little incremental things I had to do to be able to beat Chris, and it was one of the biggest ones. Radical Edward, TK Master. It was a big package because Akuma is so strong, and Chris is so good. He was not giving me any real opportunities or windows. He wouldn't extend into me recklessly. He finally did when he realized that, all right, I'm going to die. So I've got to go now. When he went for the big Congo turn. Yeah. And, but, his math wasn't super faulty or anything. He put himself in a position to win the game there, and it just, TK Mastery checks were there. If my TKs were worse, I don't know if I would have lived that turn.
Sure.
Even with all of the crazy Shadow Inheritance tricks on that turn, for -12 to my block mod, I only passed that block by about 3. So if I missed 2 more TK Masteries, I might have died there.
Sure.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So we spent a lot of time on that Akuma matchup. Would you say that was your hardest matchup in tops?
That was the hardest for gameplay for sure. The scariest was top 4.
Okay.
So the scariest was certainly Goro.
All right, go right into it.
So that was a run back from Swiss. I don't have to describe a lot of detail to this interesting of this matchup. Yeah. I was more familiar with his attack lineup, which felt good.
Yep.
Because during rounds, he advised me with some sided and flashy shadow kicks to kill me in one of the games. There was a bunch of little things in it, and the games are so quick that his ability to put either highs or lows in his discard pile was scary for me during those games. And so, but in this one, I was comfortable that I realized flash shadow kicks had come on a side. So I knew in game 1, it was all lows all day and choke and grabs. So I was like, all right, game 1 is I had to go second because I was the ace seed. Game 1's my best chance to break set before he gets into his sideboard and puts in the flash shadow kicks again to mix me up. So game 1 goes, I build out 4. I have a Nutcracker block or something else. And the problem was I had no low blocks, and he had flipped Dark Troto Missile Launcher. So I was I got to partial both of these, and it's gonna feel bad. But maybe he'll check a Missile Launcher or check poorly, and the breaker on Nutcracker will buy me some breathing space. He did not, so I took both of those. Ended up at 16 or whatever, 15. I'm all right, well maybe I can turn to him. I draw my hand. It's all gray, but there's a ton of low blocks, and I'm okay, I'm gonna hold all these low blocks. Play out the rest, see what happens, and he rips up, and and he goes up, and I'm I know he's gonna grab the Dark Chiroto, but he grabs Dark Chiroto, Shock and Grab, and like a missile launcher, and then like a folktail that he drops fast. So I'm like, all right, well, he's not going to fail. So he folktails, and I'm like, all right. How do I live through this turn? Like, ever? Like, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm already at like 16. He's got 2 momentum. He plays the Dark Roto, fully multiples it, does a Goro flip, hits like 4 attacks, and I go, Shokin Grab is for lethal. Okay, I scoop. Like, he literally flipped like 3 or 4 attacks on the first enhance of the Chiroto, and I scooped. Because the Shokin Grab was going to kill me on half.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay. Game 2. There goes my best chance to break this set. Game 2 goes much like when I went first in Swiss, where I punch him a bunch on turn. On turn 2, I'm also defensively positioned better. This time I have my High Seas Adventures in my deck, which, by the way, I should have mained. But it was hard for me to find that slot.
I agree. That was me when I ended up just not even playing them in that.
Yeah, like, I should have mained them. I sided them in almost every round. Like, there was 1 or 2 exceptions, but mostly they were always sided in. Mm-hmm. It's just, she has such non-block problems, it's very hard to justify them main.
Yeah.
But I've kind of figured it out a little bit, I think, post this event, but it still feels kind of bad. But regardless, they were in there. They're huge against Shokin Grab. Massive. Because his deck is very invested in Shokin Grab. It's 59 cards. Everything mills. Like, he plays Unlikely Allies. He plays the Speed Bump
Folktail, Unhealthy Diet.
Folktail.
Fallen Angels can mill a card. Like,
he would consistently, especially when he was going first, he would tank his 4th card going first just to get another card in this card.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, when I played Goro, like, in a release or something, I did the same thing. I was like, well, I'm going to fail this card, but I was like, but there's no reason for me to like, if I start my turn with 3 cards in my discard pile, like, what am I doing? You know? Like,
and he was using the Goro flips to pull all of his missile launchers out of his deck so he didn't check them, which I thought was really on Shokin Grab. Mm-hmm. So he had a good idea of his 2 checks. He played the deck really good. Sean's
really good.
Newer player. Yeah. He played that deck. He built a very specific tool to do a very specific job, and that deck did it wonderfully. Yeah. And I actually think the deck is a like, if any deck list that comes out of that event, I think that's one of the most important ones. Because I think you can give that deck to any good player, and they will bring you a positive win rate in something like teams or anything. Yeah. It's just that much of a... Like, this thing beat the Keith Disbro Fatality Mill deck in top 8.
Yeah, that's a hard matchup for Goro.
That's a nightmare matchup for Goro, right? Yeah. Like, just being able to...
it's not vicious. It's not vicious, but...
Right, yeah. So, game 2, I get him very cleanly. I get dug in with a couple high Cs and stuff after poking him and stuff like that. He just doesn't have the string off of 1 build to kill me through my 2 builds and 20 poke damage, because 2 Nutcrackers is 20 damage against him.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, game 2 is very easy for me, just as game 1 was incredibly easy for him. Like, he basically sneezed on me and I fell over terribly bad. Game 3, he was going first again. I have not survived past one of his turn 3s, and he had killed me on turn 2 twice or whatever at this point, pretty much. And I'm just like, all right, I don't know how I can win this. Like, I have no idea. And then he kept a hand, and he said himself, like, this feels a little greedy. But it wasn't that greedy of a hand. It was a 3 build, which is fine for Goro. A 3 guild and a failed disarm, I think it was, or something. No, it was a failed Power Stone. So he 3 builds, fails a Power Stone, but he doesn't flip a single attack, like, in those cards. So the only attack in his pile is the Power Stone. That's it. And I'm like, okay, so he's not going to kill me, or he's not going to half me turn 2 like he's done every single other game. This is very good. So I build out super greedy. I play 5, hold a low block for the Power Stone. That's it. I'm like, if he draws attacks in hand, like, I'll deal with it then. Like, the worst is a missile launcher, and I think I can block it if I'm only playing 1 block anyways. He draws up, and I'm pretty sure he drew 4 foundations because he goes, ugh. He tosses it in. He grabs the 4 cards in his discard pile, or 5 or whatever, like the Power Stone 3 build. He plays the Power Stone. I block it. And then builds 3. And I'm like, all right, it's my turn to... My turn...
Your turn 3.
Turn 3. No, turn 2.
Yeah, his turn 2.
It's my turn 2, because I built 5. It's my turn 2. And I look at my hand, and it's like, Nutcracker, splat. And I'm like... Well, I mean, I'm going to play these Nutcrackers. Like, I don't think I can kill him here. And he had one of his cards was like a Toughest Bricks that I had to deal with. He's going to
commit something, yeah.
Yeah, but I had a sense of morals, and he understood that, like, the sense of morals was a problem. and he was trying to figure it out. But also, since Morals was like my only non-prog I could put up,
Mm-hmm.
so like I was playing a weird dance with that. So I play Nutcracker. I don't use Cassie on the first Nutcracker at all, and I do have like a season guide or whatever to stuff in there from discard with Nutcracker's enhance. So I Nutcracker. I hit him for a bunch. He doesn't tough as bricks. I'm like, all right, he understands. Like we're playing chicken right now with Mad Cassie enhance versus tough as bricks. I play the second Nutcracker. I accept that he is smart enough not to blow this until I put the morals up. So I stuff a Fallen Master or something up there and accept that I have to deal with +1 prog. I show Cassie 3. I see another Nutcracker. And I'm like, okay. Like, that's 34 damage or something, 35 damage. Like, that's almost enough. And I've got this Splat. So, like, maybe? But I, like, did the check math, and I'm like, I need to pass some checks. I pick up the Nutcracker. I go into the Kersplat. I pass the Kersplat on a good check, and I'm like, but remember, I'm running on like 5 foundations. I've had to commit some stuff. He still has tough as bricks, and I'm like, all right, well, if he uses it now after taking this one, like the timing's going to be a little awkward for me because I'm going to have to play with this attack down. Like I'm not going to be able to send some morals, during the damage step before the last Nutcracker. But since the Kersplat progressive, like I just need to not bomb this Nutcracker, not have to commit Cassie. Was basically what
Don't take it.
He correctly played his tough as bricks, committed down my Shadow Inheritance that I had, and I passed the check on the Nutcracker and killed him turn 2.
There you go.
And that was it.
Right in the ball sack.
Like he ran a little cold and I ran super hot.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, holy crap.
Yeah, because finals was way less dramatic.
Just to interject real quick, yeah, because he was playing that deck. We were testing with him up here in Rockford for a little bit, and he pummeled through us like nobody's business with that deck.
It's funny because he talked about while we were talking during one of the matches. He goes, "Yeah, I went to Rockford and I was like." He's like, I did really well in Rockford with this deck, and it helped make up my mind. And I was like, I believe it. Like, you did really well here with this deck.
He's saying you suck, Chris.
I know we do. I only went 3-3 on the day.
Is that news?
That's not the response you're supposed to have.
Whatever.
If he had won that matchup I think that matchup was favorable for him a little bit, honestly. Yeah. Like, I really do. Especially if he's going first, it's definitely a little favorable for him. If he won that matchup, he would have won the event.
I think so,
don't
too.
think that Hoytsel has any shot in heck of beating that deck.
No. He's pummeling like 40 damage on turn 2.
And he's not blocking either.
Right? Well, it's like you have 2 people that are just throwing every attack, and one of them pumps damage.
One of them pumps damage, and the other one has no abilities, because Goro doesn't block.
Yeah, Goro do shit.
Hoytsel's blank.
Yeah.
Like...
And he doesn't get to tutor up his hand every turn like Goro gets to. So
Goro has every advantage in that matchup.
Yeah. Like what the closest thing I can see it happening is in the Huitzel deck. He runs 2 cats, which can get big enough to help with the damage.
Be able to get their real somehow, but
like he doesn't really have really huge ways to pump it up. So
So finals against the Hoytsel, and I just adopted my typical Hoytsel strategy. I was going second both games.
Yeah,
I dumped my entire hand on my first build both games. Like I failed my 6 foundation game one. On game 1 I drew 6 and there was 2 cents of morals in there, and I'm like, I'm playing all of these, and I did. And then I eviscerated him. I don't remember if it was turn 2 or 3, but I was never really in danger.
Sure.
And that's not the same thing disrespectful about like his deck or anything, but just like if he like his Hoytsel was a race car, and Cassie can race.
Yep.
Like he will get in her car and go too. And I knew that was just my game plan. Like blocking early wasn't going to do anything. My experience in the Hoytsel matchup, because we have played it a bunch around here, it's a fun deck and it can be good. Yeah. We've had like the K&8 Hoytsel and stuff like that around. And like I just got my race car game 1 and ran faster than him. But there was a funny moment in game 1 if you watch the stream where I played out. He went first. He built like 3 or whatever. I think he only built 2. Yeah, he only built 2. And I was like, okay, I built 6. Kill me with 2 foundations, buddy. Like, and then he played like a missile launcher, and I was like, all right, well, worst case scenario, he has 2 missile launchers, but that's super unlikely. And so he eviscerates me for like 10 or whatever with the missile launcher, and then goes, drops another missile launcher. And I'm like, if you could freeze frame my face there, like my pupils dilated. And like I was like, my life flashed before my eyes. I was like, I'm actually gonna die this turn, huh? Like, and then he flipped a missile launcher on the second one he played, because he only built 2. And I was like, oh. And like you hear me on camera, I go, well, I shit myself, so that's something. I have to play the rest of this match with shit in my pants, so that's real great. But then, you know, his risk taking was not rewarded, and he got ran over by Cassie pressure, and I killed him. And game 2 was sort of dragged out a little bit more because I think I bricked an attack turn that game, where like I just didn't draw very many attacks when I needed to, which was not. It was bound to happen at some point. I've actually been running pretty hot all through top cuts.
Sure,
it's pretty easy too. Like one attacking Cassie just enables the
can become 2 or 3. Yeah.
Easy. So,
but I did finally brick one. But he there's a no justice moment, as I call it. He went first and just coffee samboed me.
Oh,
like going first card of the game. If you watch the replay, and like I'm like, what the heck? Like what are you doing? So like I play like arranging a deal to block it or something. Like I didn't have a nutcracker to block it. God, I wish I did. I play arranging a deal to block it, and I try to reversal complatum, bomb the check, and I'm like, there's no justice. Like, and then he builds like 4 or 5 foundations all on 5s, and then passes because he drew a bunch of cards off the Saba. I'm like, all right, well if he's trying to figure out a way to win this race, he certainly gave himself a heck of a lead, like by just playing dirty. Like he threw like oil in my tires, like Speed Racer or something. That's God. All right, so I build out, and I'm like, you know what? I don't even care that he has like 5 foundations. I build 5. I've got like, all right, well if I check a 5, I can commit Cassie to pass this last one. Build 6, fail it. I'm like, whatever. Build 5, no hand. Like, you have no ability, Hoitzel. Like, show me what you got. And he doesn't have like, I think he had he didn't have any missile launchers, I don't think. So he did like 15 to me or something. Like it wasn't 13, 15.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all right, well now I'm going to kill him. And I draw up and I'm like, oh, not killing him. All right, well now I have some regrets. I build out, I do some damage to him, but he plays like surprisingly decent defense on this turn if I remember correctly too. And I'm like, well, I'm in danger. Like I feel danger now, so I'm actually going to put myself in a situation to potentially block something.
Sure.
He goes to his turn, and I don't remember what attack it is, but he made something do all of my health, like when I was at like 15 or so, and that forced me to half block it. I remember if it was a missile launcher, maybe a missile launcher with the powerful or something.
He has Power Stone as well in the deck.
Yeah, it might have been Power Stone, it might have been missile launcher. I'm not quite sure, but he had something that was doing all of it and got me to block with the nutcracker I held onto from the turn before. And luckily, he had bombed the check, I think, on that card a little bit. Mm-hmm. So the nutcracker breaker kept him from lethaling me. Because he did get to rebuy whatever it was, a missile launcher, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And if he could have replayed it, it would have killed me.
Sure.
So, like, he certainly put himself in a position to win that game, and the checks didn't show up at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if you watch the very end of game 2, I get a really awkward hand sequence, and I know I can't live because I'm at, like, 8 or something, like 6 or 8. And, like, Hoitzel's just going to – that's nothing for Hoitzel, anything. And it was a missile launcher because he was still holding the missile launcher. It was a +2 mid. And I, like, go into my turn, and I'm like, the only way I kill him here is if I can get him to make a play mistake, or he's just very unlucky, and like justice comes for him opening with a coffee samba. Justice. Yeah. So I go through my sequence. I play a bunch of attacks. Like I combo a power flip or whatever. I'm trying to do like 40 or whatever at this point. I think he's at like 33 still. And I'm going through. And my problem is that if I could combo my last power flip, I have a comfortable lethal with Cassie.
Wait, you mean
glow kick?
You mean glow kick?
Yeah, glow kick. Sorry.
Who isn't playing power flip?
Yeah, I don't like power flip. And the problem is that the last card in my hand alongside glow click was a stop, which does not combo. And I'm like, all right, well, done everything I can to sequence this correctly. If he checks anything but an attack, he can block this 4 lethal go kick, but there's no way I live. I'm at 6. And I know that the last card in his hand is a missile launcher, and I did not bait the block on the missile launcher earlier in the string. I tried. Like, I really wanted him to play it earlier in the string on something, so I could just safely use all my shadow inheritances and everything and just send this glow kick to the moon. And I play it, and I go, well, you're going to have to help me out here, but you can hear me on the stream, too. I'm like, if you check an attack, you lose. And he goes, checks, commits his 2 foundations, looks, realizes Hoytzel's committed, and just was like, oh. It's offered him the handshake. So he should have probably won game 2.
Sure.
For what it's worth.
Sure.
But the justice finally came.
Justice!
The coffee shop will open. And I defeated him to win the PTC, playing second all the way through top 8, which I think was the most remarkable.
Yeah,
thing.
that was. I think that was the big storyline for the most part. Was you going second for the most part.
Thanks a lot, Jimmy Ray.
Yeah, you're not helping us prove that going first
is an advantage. Thanks, buddy.
I have evidence for both sides. I never lost a game going first the entire tournament.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I went completely.
But they don't have that data because you went second every time for the first game.
It's true.
So
they didn't keep it for Swiss because I don't know why.
But, yeah.
We don't want big data sets. We want small data
small
sets.
sample size.
I went first, 100% win rate. Never lost. And honestly, I don't remember a close game going first besides against Nixon.
Sure.
If I went first,
how was your record going first?
I won every game going first.
How was your record going second?
I lost every game going second. No, I won 1 game going second. I beat the time man.
What was your record on the day?
3-3. It's 3-3.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And that's a solid 50-50.
Yeah.
That doesn't help our data either.
No, it doesn't either. Sorry,
I
guys.
summed up my Elena testing in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked about this at the Chicago event. My Elena deck, I have a Fire Elena deck that I really like. I tested it at Phil's house. Phil Burge, Marcus, they're all there. Throughout that weekend and the weekend before testing it, I went something like 26-0 going first, and like 2-23 going second.
Sure.
Like, I could not win games going second against good decks.
Yeah.
Like, against bad decks, absolutely. Against good decks, I could not. And like, I'm like, I can't.
Obviously, you just got a Swiss champ.
Yeah. I was like, if I win every dice roll in Swiss rounds, we're there.
Yeah.
Like, that's less dice rolls than having to win all of them in top cuts also. So I think we could do this.
There you go.
We have to roll the dice if you're Swiss champ.
And I kept making tweaks to make going second going better, but it's just like there's so many characters now that are so much stronger going first that like I was testing us like Raptor and stuff, and Raptor's overwhelming going first. He is so hard to deal with. I think Raptor's only problem right now is he doesn't line up that well with Akuma. Otherwise, like he is just incredible.
Yeah.
I
played a 3-game set against Nick Birch, and much to my chagrin, since I did not have missile launchers in the deck, I left him at 1 and 3 appropriately. So and that's what cost me my set against him. But the game he went first. I left him at 1, then he back swung me, and then
you know why? It's because he went second. That's why he couldn't find that extra damage.
Oh, also, he also had 4 shamans on board, so if I would have had emergency rations in my deck, I would have won that matchup. Wins. Oh, yeah. I have emergency rations, I win. But
why are you not playing emergency rations?
Cut it for space, dude. Sorry.
That card's good.
I know it is. Now I know.
I'm a little bit terrible.
Weren't you? Wait. You weren't already playing that card for admission fees?
No, because I had ways to deal with with speed, so I didn't need it. Yeah, I know. Hey, like I said, I was talking with Mark Wisniewski, man. It was like these are just steps for worlds. It's just game. Like I was just trying to get the legs underneath.
So. You gotta get all the losses out of the way, you know.
But no, like
PTC, now J-Ray will be at Worlds and he's going to have to pay for his plane ticket.
Well, no, let me continue. Like the way the deck worked is I found out that hey man, I'm missing damage, so just pop missile launchers in and the deck's way better now. It's just working. Yeah, it's way better now. So
I will say this: Rations doesn't make a lot of my deck list cuts either, and that's not because Rations is a bad card. It's just that like when I get down to like the nitty gritty of the deck, and I'm like, what are the last 6 foundations I'm putting in this deck? And it's always like Rations. Something else I really like, and then something else I should be playing because it's really good, but I hate it because it's got like a 4 check or no block or something. Yeah. And I'm like, I always kind of end up dicing stuff there.
I guess it's really hard to fit in a good deck, and that's what this is. I think it's really easy to put in a water deck.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Good has a lot of very good pardon the pun, good foundations or whatever.
I think that's a reasonable assessment.
Yeah. And on the Chaos, you're playing the card because what else you got?
Yeah, but no, like the deck.
Chaos does some stuff. Okay.
Like Chun-Li's, I think Chun-Li's really good. It's going second. I mean, going first, she's just a beating on people because that 3 speed is that's ridiculous.
That's the meta right now, though.
Yeah.
They printed a bunch of characters who are just incredible going first. Jeddah going first is overwhelming. He is suffocating. Raptor going first is suffocating. Elena going first is the just craziest out of control train of an aggro deck in the meta. Like, there's just so many characters who just like, if I go first, I'm nuts. Like I have Akuma and Cassie don't even have particular advantages going first.
Sure.
But they're just so strong anyways that when they go first, it's impossible to catch up with them.
Now, now that we're you summed up your PTC, congrats. Any pros, cons from the weekend that you want to give, anything you want to talk about?
Props and slops.
Props and
props
slops.
and slops.
Yeah.
The biggest props is easily the Chicago players. I played a bunch of them. I think I played 4 in Swiss, 5 in Swiss or something.
There were what, 2 or 3 in tops, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
3.
2 in top 4.
Yeah, 2 in top 4. Yeah,
Yeah,
Omri played. Cool. Omri made top 8 with Shadow Man, Sandbagging, and Raptor.
Yep.
Yeah. He had
Everyone
the obligatory. Okay, one cool thing about his deck list though, he loves Punch and Judy so much he sided one of each. Yeah, because he just yep.
Yeah, it's a good defensive card.
He's crazy. Yeah, he wasn't even on symbol.
On symbol. That's the point.
Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry.
It's a 6 check. It's fine.
Yeah, I know.
The Chicago players were all really cool. I had no unpleasant experience playing against any of them. I liked them all. It's very cool. I'm not super far from Chicago. It's like a 5-hour drive. So I might try to get down there for a premiere event just to hang out with them again. There's a really cool batch of guys. The shop was incredible for a lot of different things. Space was rough.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this before.
Yeah.
50 people is a lot, and not a ton of game shops can support 50 people.
They I think they were playing on the amount of people who responded to the Facebook event, and that was 30-something. They had enough. Yeah. They had enough for 40 people comfortably. They hit that close to 50 mark. It got kind of dicey. Yeah.
But the shop itself was fantastic. Yeah. It had all sorts of cool gaming rigs, setups, and stuff like that for video gaming.
They also hooked us up with food too. They actually bought. They actually got breakfast and like lunch/dinner. They got like hot Chicago style hot dogs and stuff.
And for like sealed product for everything, including like gaming accessories, card gaming accessories, sleeves, and everything. Their prices were incredible. Yeah, they were so cheap on everything.
Eddie prides himself. Chicago Gaming Goat shoutouts. He prides himself on having the bet. He's like, you will not find a better price locally on anything.
Everything was so cheap.
Yeah, everything's. I don't know how he makes any money. He sells so much stuff so cheap.
He had Keyforge decks he was selling Keyforge decks for $4 less than my local shop. Like not $1 less, like $4 less than my local gaming shop for Keyforge decks. His Dragon Seals were cheaper than anywhere. Like everything was just
he's awesome.
Super affordable.
He's fantastic.
His boxes were a great rate. So like it was a really cool shop, and they fed us. They were cool with us. They were friendly. The space was tough, but I have really like as much as that was, we got by.
Yeah, we got by.
So huge props to them for the shop and the Chicago players. Yep. They showed up, protected their event with kind of a young play group.
Sure. Yep.
Did super well. They were all really cool. They all seemed eager to learn. I really liked Sean. I played him twice. I thought he was a really cool dude.
I like Sean a lot. He buys a lot of my cards. I really like him.
Sean's like the whole group over there. They're really, really cool. They work like their play group's totally different from our play group. They play a lot of like the meta stuff. And my play groups, we're old salts, so we hate all that stuff. So we just play whatever's fun and stuff. So, but.
Well, and it's funny because I got to do the whole, like, explain to Chicago guys. They're like, oh, like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? If you were going to play a Kuma event, how would you play it? Blah, blah. I'm like, well, I would never play a Kuma event because, like, despite how it may appear, like, I'm a terrible fanboy and I only play characters that I like from the licenses.
Yeah.
So, like, it doesn't matter how broken a Kuma or Quan Chi is. Never playing them. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter if Nightmare's broken. I think Nightmare's dumb, and I'm never playing him. Like,
sure.
I am a terrible, terrible fanboy. But there's a reason I played my own character card in Mega Man for like 4 straight years. Yeah. They're the only characters I liked in the format for a long time.
Sure. Yeah. So speaking of Soul Calibur, okay. So before we move on to Soul Calibur stuff, get your thoughts and Barrett's thoughts. Anything to Rob, Barrett, Jeremy, final thoughts on that event? I know you were giving tons of thoughts, Jeremy, but anything? I want to say shout-outs to them for letting us use the Wi-Fi, because they didn't have to give me the Wi-Fi password, which was kind of free anyways, but they gave me a table, let me set up. They were more than accommodating on that, so appreciate it. There's one thing I do want to give a slop for. The price support wasn't up to snuff from my opinion. We got Swiss Realms, we only got a copy of the promo, which is okay, I guess, but I would rather have had a pack for the money I spent in a way. Like, toss me a pack or two and I'm fine with that because I know that, hey man, it's just the way things have been. But I know they're kind of transitioning out of the way how things have always been and into like this new price support system. But what did you think about it, Jeremy?
So I kind of went over this a little bit. ahead of time, but I have two thoughts. One, I think UFS players are a little spoiled. We get great prize support.
Oh yeah, we do.
Our like Worlds and Nats, especially where we don't pay entry fees and we get tons of swag, free play mats for everybody.
Yeah,
also
free sleeves last time.
Yeah, we got free sleeves.
Yep. Two boxes of free Dragon Shields, right?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. For anyone who just showed up in that room got 2 free boxes of Dragon Shields.
You got one. You got one for top. And
I got 2. Yeah.
I thought they were both. Yeah.
Anybody who showed up.
Most of them.
I got 3 because I top.
I think anybody got a Dragon Shield and a play mat at least, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the prize support's really good, and I think that the prize support for this wasn't super awful, and compared to a lot of other card games, it was still pretty. But I do believe in like an event like this where people are traveling, you want to make sure you send at least all the top 8 home happy. And I feel like 5 through 8 probably weren't real happy with their prizes.
Very true.
And I think that's a little bit of a mistake. Sure. Like, I think in the rounds, I do believe like participation prize packs are fine. I've always thought a pack around was a little crazy, but UFS prizing's always been, at least in modern Jason era.
Yeah.
Like there was early parts in the Jasco era where prizing was bad, and I think they would admit that themselves.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like even this chat I don't know was around like the early Jasco when like the old sets were still, the pre-Jasco sets were still legal, like Tekken and stuff like that. The prizes were just infinite Red Horizon 1 booster packs.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure 100 Revokes. I have 100 Templars because I had
share.
Hey man, there's hey Jeremy, there's new kids out there that need both those cards. You know,
please take my Revokes off of me. I brought like 10 of them to Chicago. No, I brought 20 of them to Chicago, and no one wanted any.
Yeah, they'll have them. Yeah.
So you make these out to eBay? Thanks.
Yeah.
Jason realized this once, as the company started to get more successful, that the prize wasn't very good. Yeah. And I think in the modern era, pretty much since, like, I'm going to say King of Fighters or so, the prize support took a big turn for the upswing, and it's been great.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're reeling it back in, I don't necessarily blame them that much.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I do think you want to make sure you send the top 8 home happy at least. A little bit more participation back in the round packs or something in the rounds would be nice. Or just a little bit bigger promo pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, get 2 or 3 different promos in there, or some of the league kit promos. Why aren't the Premier Store promos in there? Just get some of the, I can't go to any Premier Store events. I want familiar faces. Someone please trade me familiar faces with the no borders. I think they look great. I don't have any. I don't have any way to get them. I just want a PTC. I still own 0.
Yeah. I think that would be something that they could do. Because those Premier Store things are just printed off from like drive-through, so it should not be difficult.
Like, all PTC holders are Premier Stores, right?
Yes,
like the PTC should be a culmination of Premier Store events.
Yeah.
And like the mid majors that they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So put some of the Premier Store prizes in there.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And then also make sure that the top 8 guys are happy. 5 through 8 should probably be seeing half a box. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
3, 4 should probably get a box, and I think that first place isn't going to be sad if they both, first and second place, both get 2 boxes. First place gets a voucher and 2 boxes. Second place in the PTC, I used to joke, is the worst in the existence because you don't get the big prize. You miss, $300 worth of value, and you get less stuff than the first place guys gets otherwise. So if the second place player just gets everything but the voucher that first place gets, I think that both first and second place are going to feel pretty good about that.
Sure.
So just scale up top. Don't scale down top 8. If you're going to scale down the PTCs, replace them with promos. If you don't want to give out as much product, but make sure top 8 goes home happy.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably, like I would give more cards to the second place because like the first place guy gets a plane ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I think it's
like if you're trying to find like an extra box or something to give out, like just take it from the person who came in first.
Yeah, I mean, I think most first place people would not be too sad about that. That being said, I think there'd be a little bit of like grumbling, but regardless,
grumbling.
I'm gonna cry all the way on my free flight to Vegas
because like if they did something like that, there'd be no grumbling if they were like, well, instead of the plane ticket, now we're going to be giving away $300 worth of product. People would be a lot more upset about that.
Yeah, they would.
So like, I'm pretty sure they would not be grumbling about their box going away or 2 boxes going away.
All right.
I mean, and I'm not even saying they should get like no product, but like if they're getting like 2 boxes
more product, that doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
but I don't think it was abysmal. Some people were a lot more dramatic about it than others, and I don't think that was necessary. We are spoiled. I think that some of it comes from the fact that we are a very spoiled community as prizes.
Oh yeah, we are.
Jason takes good care of us.
Yes. All right. Speaking of product, we have new cards to talk about. So, Jeremy, what are your thoughts on Soul Calibur? And give us a favorite that you have out of the set so far.
Anyone who's seen the many Facebook posts where I talk about how handsome Killick is knows that Killick is my favorite. Both, luckily, this is 2 sets straight now, so I feel like they're just in my house watching me with hidden cameras. But where my favorite characters from the franchise are also my favorite characters mechanically.
Okay, cool.
I talked about it's probably in my MK tier list video I made a million years ago. But my 2 favorite Mortal Kombat characters are from the 10 franchise are Jackie and Cassie. I love the kids. I think that they're both the best stories in the game. Jax's daughter and Johnny's daughter. Johnny was one of my favorites growing up. Cassie became my favorites later. And I was a little bummed out with Cassie in the MK tier list because she seemed so bad. Yeah, but I was like, but luckily I had Jackie, and I was so pumped because Jackie was everything I wanted.
Yeah.
So
I remember I remember you at World saying that Jackie's just busted because you're killing people with ace maneuvers and all that stuff. I was killing. I just had a Spike 2 deck that I turned into a Jackie deck, and I was winning all my matches with it. It was incredible. Yeah.
And Urban Shower.
Yeah, Urban Shower.
At Worlds, I Urban Showered a Quan Chi for 20, and he was super mad.
How'd that work out at the PTC?
God. That was there is justice moment for me, like way later.
This card says go back to full. Sorry, dude.
God, my God. That was a harrowing experience. Trying to kill that Quan Chi, doing 1,000 damage. Anyways, but yeah, so like Killick is my favorite mechanical design in the set. I love rebuy characters. If you squint real hard, you can see Jeremy Ray in the Killick ability design. Like R bounce and attack, right?
The R, for sure.
Yeah, the R for sure.
Jeremy Ray's design was based on Sung Mina, who is my 2 favorite Soul Calibur characters, the 2 staff characters, Sung Mina and Killick. So, and Sung Mina's, the old Sung Mina, for us old-timers, Legacy Sung Mina's form, pick up a card from your card pool once per turn.
Bananas.
Which is what I based Jeremy Ray on. Because she was my favorite character in the early days of UFS mechanically. And also one of my favorites from the franchise. So in this set, once I saw the character list, I heard the character lists from whatever, the previews, when they showed like 1 card from everybody. I was like, all right, well, Sung Mina didn't make it. I'm not surprised. But Killick did, and he's going to be the one I care about. And like, I look at Killick and I'm like, oh, like there's shades of Jeremy Ray here. This is going to be so much fun. Like, I don't know how good he is yet, but I will say now that we've seen his support, his ultra rare attack certainly gives him a shot at being good.
Mm-hmm. He wants to be Jackie just a little bit in that attack.
Yeah.
Well, and he wants to be again dating everybody. But I won the very last Legacy Major ever with Sung Mina playing Blazing Storm. Killick with his ultra rare is very similar to Blazing Storm Sung Mina. So it's an engine that I know can work backed up properly, and I'm very excited to try and see if I can get that much out of that engine again.
Just make Goro pick up all his foundations.
Oh yeah. I have a list done. I've had a list done for 2
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. I'm ready to go. I have all the cards set aside.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna make some proxies and play it this weekend, I think. But
nice.
I'm very excited. So Killick's definitely the one. I don't necessarily think he's the strongest character in the set, but there's enough there to where he should be competitively viable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
5-handers that don't play any defense at all are always a little shaky.
Sure. Yeah, his E's are a little weird to me. Like it would have been cool if they were like a little different, or if
I wish you would have said difficulty and block difficulty.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or if they helped your block. Yeah, like just something.
Yeah,
anything.
I would have liked the block.
Just make your check better then.
Yeah.
Like check to play a card or something. Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of like feels bad moments where you draw one of his ultra rare or no attacks to bounce it with.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. Like he's got
a card.
Oh, that's the one that loses safe. Yeah, because safe comes back after it resolves.
That's the
right?
funniest cost that does nothing of all time.
It does nothing because safe comes back
before reversals.
Yeah, so it's just E. You get powerful at 5.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you get powerful 5. Sweet, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So obviously it's there so that you can play Guile under life or order and go down to 2 keywords and then
power printed.
Yeah, you're
Guile
right.
says printed anyways. I think.
I tried. Whatever. I tried.
It's there, so Pit makes it a little bit worse.
So it's basically built-in Ever Hopeful then, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh yeah, targeted. That's what makes that card actually.
Yeah,
that's what's going to make this deck a thing that might be real.
I haven't really looked at his cards yet, so.
Would you still run like Sangway?
I think I would. But
okay. Even if it's just like 2 or something, it's basically an extra copy.
You have to, since he doesn't play defense, your defense is going to be Foundation Denial.
Yeah.
And I think doubling down on it's not a bad idea. Like my early versions are definitely playing both, and definitely a little bit of figuring out though. It's going to have to go through testing. It's going to have to go through this, and even then, I don't know if he's ever going to be consistent enough to be a Worlds winner, and I don't think he's going to be consistent enough for me personally to look at seriously as a singles deck, unless it performs much better or I find some magic juice in there that I didn't really see at first. That being said, I like the idea of him as a teams deck a lot because you can take him away from some of those matchups where his consistency stumbles won't hurt him. Like if pairing him into somebody slower who relies on building out a certain side of board is going to be pretty miserable for them.
Yeah.
But if you pair him into like an Akuma who can kill you just by keeping 1 or 2 in play since he's not fighting much non-prog or something like that, having no defensive abilities and a limited hand size and a small board against Akuma is a good way to just die.
Also, Fade just wrecks him too, so, you know.
What is Fade wreck?
Because you do the ease, and then they play it right, and then you bounce the card back to their hand, and they don't basically get they waste the minus difficulty.
Fade.
Yeah,
Fade.
Fade. I thought you said Fade.
Oh no, my bad. Fade.
What does Fade do?
No,
yeah,
Fade.
Fade's a problem.
Fade's a big problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and in general, his Akuma matchup's probably going to be a big problem. These are things I'm already thinking about for Kill his matchups.
Sure.
So like Akuma matchup's a problem. Things are going to be a problem, but I still like him. I still think he's really fun.
Yeah.
My overall thoughts of the set, kind of a hot take, but I think it's it's coming in a little lower on the power level than Street Fighter vs. DS. I think it's even coming in a little lower on the power level of Mortal Kombat. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
I am completely in agreement, and I think it's good as well. Like,
I think that this set comes a little bit closer to like Bebop power level, but the support is a lot less linear for the characters because for one, it's smaller suites of support.
Wait, you think MK is more powerful than Bebop?
For the characters that are good, yes. For the top characters, I don't think across the board that's true. I think if you take the 3 best MK characters, Cassie, Jackie, Goro, probably.
Okay.
And there's some other ones you can make a case for up there. They're probably better than most of the Bebop characters, except maybe like Vicious.
I think MK is better than Bebop because MK got 2 characters banned and Bebop only had 1.
Yeah, because none of the other characters.
Yeah, and we're also, we're taking the 3 characters from MK that are still legal, and
that's also true. Correct.
Yeah.
I would say in that sense, like it's obviously like set size too. It's just like you look at Mortal Kombat, there's more room for more cards to be strong, whereas Bebop there are less. Like
so this set feels a little bit like a wider Bebop to me. So the decks are going to end up a little less linear. Each character has less support pieces, and also I'll say this: I think those support pieces are a lot weaker. So these characters are going to have to go outside of their support a lot. I talked about this a little bit in a little bit of a Discord rant, but I don't quite understand why Killick's foundations are so damn weak. They're really bad.
And they don't do anything for him.
Yeah. He's got a foundation that literally has an ability that is E-commit, gain 1 vitality if you have 6 or less fewer foundations. Why would that be printed on a card in this day and age at all? Like, why?
Pack killer. Like that has to exist. Every card in the set can't be good. Like
but that's their design philosophy though.
Yeah, I mean for sure. But like it's but like you look at all of Killick's attacks, and I think almost all of Killick's attack can see play somewhere.
I don't agree. I think that only his ultra rare is good.
I think Dirty Bow can see some play.
Who's playing that 5 diff with the 3 check at the quality of 5 diff to 3 checks they put in this set? Yoshi's attack, Killick's own ultra rare. The 5 diff 3 check slot is crazy now. It is one of the strongest slots in the deck, and your deck can only play so many of them.
Yeah, I mean,
right. I guess
for the Sub-Zero stuff on 2 symbols, I mean, you have like Deep Freeze and Frosthammer.
Yeah.
Yoshimitsu's ultra rare is a 5 diff 3 check that's incredible.
That card is insane. Yeah.
Killick's ultra is a 5 diff 3 check that's incredible. Taki has 2 5 diff 3 checks that are good, if I remember correctly. Like Ninja Cannon's very interesting.
Sophedia's 5 checks really that fishes itself out. It's cannonade. It's fantastic.
And it's not to say that the Killick card is bad, but the current era where they're sticking 6 speed, 6 damage attacks in that slot that have incredibly strong abilities.
Yeah.
That Killick attack's just not going to find the spot. And Breaker has never been worse with Akuma at the top of the meta.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
So, like, I don't think that card's good, and Reverse Waterfall is really fun, but it's the kind of card that's way too much work to actually be reliably used.
I think reverse waterfall is the way that you play the air ground smash type of deck if you wanted to put that in Killick, like without having to find air ground.
Killick is playing just air ground smash in general.
I get it, but it's just one of those things where like if you don't have that card or you don't want to play the 6th diff or you're like, well, it's not a weapon or safe attack. That's make my deck consistent. Like that card is an option. It can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I agree that you need more moving pieces, so why not play the one that doesn't need the moving pieces?
Right.
The moving piece for air ground smash and kill it because I have the water symbol and I have 5 hand size.
Yeah, that's all there is to it.
That's your moving piece. So like I totally get that.
But in more just like I'm surprised if you look. There's a ton of foundations that don't see play. I get that, but there's spots where you can find a good example or a situation where maybe this is a card. One of my favorite ones for this sort of thing is I don't remember the name of it, but it's an N9 card that's a discard a card for +3 damage. Command.
Oh, Cowboy,
Cowgirl
Edward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that card's not a super strong card. It's not a particularly good card, but in the right decks, including sometimes N9 decks that want that damage bump, it's not always terrible.
And it's like stun hate.
Yeah,
I played it. It's stun hate. It also has the ally keyword.
Yeah, so it does a couple of useful things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's not by any means. It's a filler card, kind of in the grand scheme. It's a generic damage pump with a little bit of utility. None of Killick's cards are shaped like that. They're all very overtuned and weak.
Mm.
What do you think about the 1/6?
The 1/6 is fine. It's just not a card for Killick.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I guess that's how I feel about it, and that's kind of frustrating because that card doesn't really make any sense for Killick.
Honestly, that card reads like either
something that's printed in the Donovan support.
Yeah.
If Box Topper Donovan had a support card, it would have been in his support.
Yeah.
Well, it does. It's Demon Realm Awakening.
No, that reads like something that either they threw on the like when you commit it to like for your ability, which also what is that wording? Like, is that to like for a cost? Like, it's really weird.
It says or to pay the cost of your ability.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it says?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just said for your ability.
No.
It's a very bad Partners in Crime credit. Jared, please.
Yes.
Please.
I told him to reprint it as a Elite promo like 4 times, and for a minute he seemed like he might do it, and then he didn't.
Oh, that's too bad.
I wanted him to put like Super Skullman 33 and like Lily on it or something, and just reprint it.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So Barrett, since you weren't on the show on the preview shows since you were busy, give us your hot take.
My hot take is I told everybody that I was going to stop playing the all symbol, and I don't think I'm going to stop playing the all symbol
You're a
because
good man. I agree.
Man, I just keep finding. And even after Street Fighter vs. Dark Darken came out, I kept rebuilding Cassie under all of her symbols because I thought they all became stronger.
Yeah.
Rebuilt her under stuff like that, and I was like, this is a healthy character. I like this character a lot. She just can do different things, whatever you want to do, depending on the build. And then I'm actually upset that I wasn't here for our reveals because we got Maxi, and I love him because I love Cassie, and these two characters look like they go so hand in hand. But at the same time, like I look at Maxi and I'm like, I've always wanted to find a 7-hander that I actually really like, and he might fit that bill for me.
Sure.
I'm so excited to try that.
I think Rob's in agreement. I think he said Maxi was one of his favorites that when we previewed
the thing, I mean, Maxi to me is similar to basically like a 7-hand size Guile.
Yeah.
So
which fixed Guile, fixed Guile, because I played Guile when I first started playing the game, and like the fact that like the coolest part about that character, and like I'm glad that he doesn't have Earth, which would match with Cassie, and instead he has All in Good, because the air symbol is what actually. And I haven't had very good things to say about the air symbol aside from Jackie for a while, to be honest. Aside from Spike 2, but like,
well, and
him having the air symbol feels like the air symbol.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like, it's making me want to try that deck, and it's be like, although I'm probably going to play him under good or all, he plays the air symbol and still does this interesting mechanic that I really like. So he's my hot take on like the one I'm going to dive in and either play him or play Cassie with his stuff.
Man, his Wandering Pirate Foundation, I still haven't found one that's better than that foundation in the set.
That foundation's amazing. And like that foundation is going to be amazing in Cassie as well.
It's going to be amazing in anybody.
That foundation's going to be amazing in literally every single character that can play it.
Like that one foundation gives air legs. Like, not looking at anything else. It's just like, what a cool card.
When we were previewing and going through his cards, I'm like, well, wow, Chun-Li just got a whole bunch of support. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I guess I could also play Maxie at the same time with Chun-Li support. Well, I guess I'm
Dude, yeah, Wandering Pirate with Chun-Li. All right.
Yeah, dude.
Other than
Commit this for something. Ready this.
Ready
Ready
this.
this.
Other than Maxie, I have wanted reversals to be relevant across multiple characters for
Sure.
a while now. Just because I feel like I can't really play Mega Man 2 at the best degree anymore.
Mhm.
And if I wanted
Right
to
there
play,
with you on that one too.
yeah, and like the best reversal characters are the ones that kill you with one. So Congo is one of the best.
Yeah.
Like Aquila 2 is one of the best.
Yeah, it's
reversal
like
characters.
yeah, definitely.
Jackie Briggs is one of the best reversal characters. Stuff
Reversals
like that.
that do 100.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pretty good.
And so when I look at a bunch of these characters, I was like, oh my goodness, we're getting relevant reversals and or characters that play reversals well. So like the characters that stick out to me in that kind of sense, I look at like Zasalamel, whereas Zasalamel will be this character that plays a reversal for 1,000,000 damage, like we were just saying, but like the character's designed around that, and so he's a reactive based character that
Sure.
does this one thing,
Mhm.
but they gave him the right tools and the right symbols to make it in a competitive format for a 5-hander.
His ultra rare is insane. I just call it the
It's
snap.
It's really cool. His ultra rare.
It's
I don't know.
cool. I
it's
don't
just-
know if it's competitive
Dude,
at all.
it's
It-
just
it
the
might be.
snap, dude. It's just Thanos'
Yeah,
snap.
but-
That's all it is, and that's the great. You just go.
I'll say all the issues I have with Killick support do not carry over to like Zasamel support.
Yeah.
Where I think Zasamel got one of the best looking sets of support of any of the
I
characters. His
agree.
foundations are fantastic.
Yes.
I think his action card fits his character incredibly well. Like
I mean, I think his action card is borderline going to be like a staple.
Yeah.
Like,
I can see that.
I mean, I think it's one of those things, like, especially for like an Earth character. Like, one of Earth's biggest problems right now is like it really doesn't have like ways to deal with speed,
Mhm.
and like that action just literally goes. I mean, you just run like.
they also
You know,
got
see if you can find like a reversal with like a relevant block, and you know you're just like, well, sure.
I mean,
0 speed.
I believe you
Done.
got a foundation
Under
that
death-
resets speed
under
too,
death-
right?
Death is easy. Yeah.
Under Death picks up Skull Barrier, and so like from your discard pile, so it's just
Like,
Yeah,
His-
the dark
just-
side of
just a-
karma resets speed too for a flip.
well, I was
so
gonna
it's
say,
like,
just a real. He's only got 3 foundations,
Yeah.
and all 3 of them feel incredible.
yes,
yes,
they do.
yeah.
The dark side, everything's playable well committed, and it's just hard to negate any enhance that's not on a weapon, or flip, not commit, flip for a
Print
speed
speed.
reduction that's
Yeah.
playable while committed.
Yeah.
Yep.
On a 3/5 with a +1 low block.
+1 low block.
It's not
Like,
even
just-
unique.
to me. Like
That's
this fits
fantastic.
under what the Zangief 3/5 low block, the Invincible Iron Body,
Yeah.
which I actually do like that card. Like this
It's not
card just fits. This card just fits that slot
Way
always
better.
in Earth, under Earth.
And then he's got the 2/5 that's got just a free once per turn -2/3, -2 speed, or -3 if it's a weapon.
Yeah.
That's the same return as Fei, except
Yep.
reusably.
Mm,
Yep.
Like it does, it's just a once per turn. There's no commit or anything.
yeah.
There's no cost at all, and then it still has a flip that lets you tutor an asset from your discard pile.
Like it's one
Like-
of those things where this character, like they gave him the fire symbol, and they gave him mill support to where you can play
Yeah.
Punch and Judy in this 5-hander and it worked because he also plays reversals, and Jupiter Jazz works incredibly well in this character.
Yeah.
And the fact that you never have to have the reversal in your hand
Yeah.
makes this character work, and that's why he's a 5-hander. This
And
could
it's-
not be a 6-hander,
Yeah.
or he would be nuts.
Yeah. He'd be Vesperia all over again. Yeah.
-5 speed for 1 enhance a turn is incredible for this kind of character.
Yeah.
And the fact that he can then pump damage based off of speed differences.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like that foundation I just read off is a 2/5 with a +2 high, an off zone +2 block. Like those 2 foundations are 2 of the best foundations in the game right now, and they both sport good blocks and 5 checks
Yeah.
off zone.
He's definitely one of the characters that I'm really drawn to. Like, I want to play Sophia really bad, but I don't want to face Tim for diversity because I'm a chicken. So I may just go through the Zazamel diversity battle because that guy's fucking
It's reasonable. And then
Yeah.
his other one is exactly what a 5-hander on his symbols needed access to.
Mm,
It's
mhm.
anti-foundation destruction.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is just hard for your opponents to deal with in any way.
Yeah.
And like, sure, maybe he's not playing 4 of these main, but he's probably playing 2.
Yeah.
Like his support is everything I wish Killick's support was. There's cards that are specifically excellent in him,
Mhm.
and then there's cards that are significantly powerful, and then there's a card that's like a sideboard / niche card that you might not need, but there's a chance you're going to want it. And like his support is everything that I wish the Killick support had shown for the most part.
Oh,
That being
yeah.
said,
He also has
Like, he-
speed reduction on his asset too. As and
yeah.
it's an R.
his asset's great.
Yeah, his asset's fantastic.
His asset is commit loyal friend.
Yes.
Like that's incredible.
Why would
That's
you ever play Lower
incredible.
Brother?
Yeah. And yeah, so his stuff just came out so powerful.
Yeah.
So-
And so along that line of what I was talking about, like how I want these reversals, that's just a character that sticks out because that's his gimmick. But then it makes me really interested and excited for characters like Zhang Hua, I can't say her name,
Zhang Hua. Yeah.
Zhang Hua, who is a reversal character because her ability can do it, but then at the same time, the fact that you just don't have to check for your cards.
Fair.
Again, and once again, like I want to find the 7-hander that I want to find, and she might fit that bill as well. And so, and then the other character that also kind of synergizes with the reversals is Grow, because he kind of wants to do like the multiple reversal thing. And the fact that he can give any printed for multiple, you can turn reversals that are printed for into something that can do something.
Give multiple? I thought you could just.
He has a foundation
that gives multiple.
That says enhance commit. If this attack's printed damage is 4 or less, it gets multiple 1.
Okay. Cool. So
he also has a reversal multiple in his support for himself.
Correct. Yes, he does. And it's a Grow multiple, so again, you share it.
Yeah, is that the one that like burns for each card in your card pool?
Enhance opponent's turn, their opponent loses 1 for each card in your card pool. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yep.
And it's a 3.
Where did you go?
Oh well. You got reprinted.
So that's the kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right, cool.
That I'm excited for. I know a lot of people are talking about Nightmare, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think a lot more people are also getting really excited for Siegfried because real Foundation board control is really coming back. It already came back with Street Fighter, which is with Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers, with Jetta coming out for Foundation control, Lord Raptor coming out with Foundation control, in a lighter sense, but in the same degree. And this character does it, but we're flipping. Like it's very Dimitri 1-dot syndrome, and that was right. Like, he got banned right after or right before I started playing.
Okay,
and he's going to be powerful.
I'm going to talk on Siegfried for just like a split second. I like Siegfried's design as a guy who's good at real fundamental UFS, but also does some real dirty stuff. And I think that a very good analogy to what Siegfried represents in this game, like from the shape that I see of him now, is a lot like Vicious. And that Vicious is just really good at fundamental UFS and can do some really dirty stuff under the scope of fundamental UFS. And at first when I looked at Siegfried and Vicious, I was like, I don't know why I'm playing Siegfried over Vicious for a little while.
Exactly. Yeah.
Siegfried has good, and I think good is better than any of Vicious's symbols, really, for fundamental UFS. For dirty UFS, evil is better than any of their symbols. But for like fundamental, I'm going to get relevant cards on the staging area. I'm going to be annoying. I'm going to be pesky. I'm going to scale really well. Good is probably the best symbol in the game for it, and Good's lack of pilots to play that game plan has been something that's held that symbol back.
Yeah.
Really, there's only 2 good characters that I consider like playable under like a good core, and that's Sniper Joe, who I think is kind of mediocre. Not to say that it's a bad deck, but like as a character, he's kind of mediocre. And Jet, who is very powerful, but because he's a 6-hander, he doesn't get to all of Good's tools fast enough sometimes.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And so
that was the same problem I had with Woodman playing him.
Yeah, it's similar too. Yep. So like Good has been looking for good fundamental play pilots like Siegfried for a while with a few dirty tricks, and Siegfried fills all those bases. Sure. He's going to be filling his board with very good foundations like Overly Dramatic and stuff, Good and Evil, and he's going to be flipping all of his opponents' relevant foundations, and eventually he's just going to have a really strong board position that your opponent's going to have to try to climb up if he can get to that point in the game.
Do you think that Good is going to ultimately be better than Earth for him, though? I mean, Earth seems like if you're going for like the absolute like flip their whole board, like it feels like
I'm playing Vicious.
Earth is going to be better.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
if I'm going for that flip, then I'm going to play Vicious.
And I think the biggest thing too, and like how specifically Siegfried's cards being a big buff for Earth Vicious, is that the fact that he also has discard mechanics involved in his card support because he has the void symbol. That's something that I didn't actually think Vicious really ever needed part of, because he gets it under Evil now from Mortal Kombat support as well. And it's pretty strong with Evil Vicious, and that's why it was kind of showing a bigger presence. But this Earth Vicious deck that did a board control and then coincidentally also made it to where you couldn't block with people playing like Crawling Strike, is now making it to where it's like, well, now we can do it really hard, and you just can't really do anything about it. I think it's going to be a completely relevant way you have to play the game. And for that reason, for how strong I believe Water is starting to look, Harrison's Lucky Day is going to be one of the best cards to stop it. But at the same time, under Good, you have cards like Police Connections, which can deal with it as well, I guess. But
I mean, I love Siegfried's action in Earth Vicious.
Yes.
Like, I think that is a very real card in that deck.
Yes.
And if not anything else, that's the card that he was kind of looking for in that deck. So Siegfried's flips can be played around a little bit, and he doesn't necessarily get his stuff online as quick as he would like. Vicious, you can't play around Vicious's flip. It's just there. You just have to deal with it, and it's going to put you on a clock. So stuff like Siegfried's action is just like, all right, well, here's a crawling strike that gets the rest of your stuff down, and now here's a billion damage that you're not allowed to block.
Yeah.
So like that's a real game plan.
The fact is
good. I was gonna say, off of good, Siegfried has his own interesting line with your best friends, the missile launchers, and your good friends Nutcracker and stuff like that. Where he's just doing
I'm gonna start dinging Nutcracker now too. I'm gonna start doing both of them since we talk about those two cards the most.
Oh,
so yeah. All right, so
it's almost like those two cards and Dark Kirito are like this trinity of love,
the whole trinity. Yeah, Earth and Good Trinity. Yeah. All right.
Siegfried's Dark Chiroto does about 30 damage.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So
that's not something you want to sit across from.
All right, guys. So we're going to kind of bring the episode to a close because we're kind of coming up like on an hour, 20 minutes, something like that. So I want to get some predictions for Atlanta. So we have attendance. We have picked 2 characters who think are going to win, and how many diversities there will be in tops. So Jeremy Ray, going for you. How many people are going to attend Atlanta?
I'm going to go with the square 41.
Okay.
I think 41 is good. It's a little bit harder trip, and there's a little bit less of a player base there. But
Barrett.
I'm second, man.
Yeah. It's
41,
also
that seems
pretty
high for me.
Closest
32.
without going over. So 32, you're good.
32.
Robert. Or here, let me get it because I won the attendance last time.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 37.
Oh, I'll go 42 then.
Fuck.
God, I got Price is Right.
Price is Right. All right, so
I'm gonna do it right. Unlike Chris, who's like, oh, he said 41. I'm gonna say 46.
Yeah.
Give me a wide berth. It's
wait,
fine.
you said that to me when I did 39, and I still won. So it's
but guess what? You would have won if you had gone one above the highest one.
I know, and I went 5 over. Big whoop to do.
He's going for accuracy here.
I am. Get style points, kid. So
winners.
winners.
Ray, what do you think is gonna win?
What do you think is gonna win?
Oh boy.
You get to pick 2, but we all pick 1 at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we pick the same one?
Yeah.
Someone.
Oh yeah.
Fine. Okay. Akuma.
Okay.
I think it's a matter of time.
Again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost a matter of time for one of his cards to get banned.
Yeah.
He's gonna keep winning stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Rob.
Raptor.
Raptor. All right.
That's actually there's quite a few people in Atlanta I know that are also trying stuff out.
Raptor.
One of these days.
One of these days. Yeah.
So anyway, we have Raptor and Akuma already.
Yeah.
Man, nah, dude. Atlanta is Ken 2 dots. Time to win a game.
I think I said that for like California, and then none showed up.
Yeah.
I was like,
nah, dude. Are you kidding me? That is Atlanta's blood.
I'm gonna say Dave Wagner with Sniper Joe is gonna win it.
you think he's not playing Raptor?
He's playing Sniper Joe. He's playing Raptor. Right
Hey
now,
man, maybe Ben's playing Raptor.
I see Ben playing Akuma 2 dot.
I see that.
Just play the best deck in the format.
That's also true.
That man's got no
that's
worry
also
about
true.
fanboys and whatever. He's like, what's the sharpest knife in the format, boys?
I get 2 picks,
And that's what
so
Ben
I
plays.
can pick 2. Don't worry.
You'd be smarter picking Mad P because Katie Meadows
Yeah,
went over.
hey man, that may be my second pick. Jeremy.
All right, Jerry, second pick.
Second pick. This is tougher. I want to feel like Goro is going to get his due at some point. Like he's really well positioned in the format, and I think he's one of the people that can beat Akuma.
Mm-hmm.
So
Akuma hates 10 damage attacks. I tell you that right now.
He is, but Atlanta doesn't play a lot of low hand size characters. That's never been their forte.
Yeah, Piglet's coming back, right?
Yeah, if Piglet's there, then with Piglet with that. I'm going to go a little off the beaten path here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a good chance we see a Vicious.
All right.
I think Vicious actually got some help here that people aren't really leveraging yet.
Okay.
And I think that there's 1 or 2 people in Atlanta looking at him. So,
Rob.
Man. I think that there's a bunch of Bebop characters that are still good, but I think nobody's playing them.
Exactly. No one's playing Spike 2.
That's what I'm saying about Jack
Actually,
Briggs.
I just realized.
Yeah, you can change your pick.
Yeah.
It's Jeddah. Jeddah's my pick. I forgot that a good pal of mine's got a real sharp Jeddah list that they're bringing to Atlanta.
This is inside information.
Yeah.
Where's Will Howard going?
Yes.
Yes.
Actually.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I was like, if Will Howard's going, then that's the one that'll win.
Yeah, for real.
Because he's been working on it since we saw the character. So
Howard's very good. And
Robert.
I've
Yeah,
never played
I'm thinking
against
about
him.
Yeah, I want to get Will Howard on the show sometime soon. So.
Do it, man. I love that kid.
I'm sure you'd love to do it.
Oh, I know. When we did his deck profile in Jeddah, he messaged me like 5 times later in the week. He's like, "Man, I'm ready to do another one," because he was really nervous about doing the first one because he'd never done one before. But he did well. Like he did pretty well on the show. So I want him back. So we're gonna get him back.
Well, when he wins his PTC with Jeddah, he'll be on the show.
You got the
Yeah,
inside
perfect
and
timing.
legendary wolf track. Just bring him on.
Yeah, right. They just got to keep winning.
Yep. All right, Robert. Take your pick.
Take your dude.
I'll take Goro.
All right.
What? Damn it, I was going to take Goro. Okay.
You could take Goro too.
No.
He's going to get his due.
I don't
Someone's
wanna
gonna pay
double
Goro's
up.
bills at some point.
I want to double
Yeah, I don't
up.
like doubling up that much. So.
I just said Kintu Dot. I'm going to keep going with Jackie. Somebody is going to play this character.
I thought about doing Jackie, and I was like, they're not going to show up again.
Somebody. I want somebody from out of town. Someone's gonna show
The
up.
native Goro population is running wild because no one's playing Jackie right
Yeah.
now. Someone's got to get in there and mow that lawn.
I'm gonna go
Like-
Lilith 2. I'm gonna go Lilith 2 dot.
Okay.
Because Marco
Okay.
may play her. Because Marco's a Lilith man. So if Marco's going, he'll
Mhm.
probably play her.
A man of culture.
Man of culture. Yeah. So
I
I'm
think
going.
not bad. All right, so that's our guess of top 8 right there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Marco is on one of the other picks already, but
Damn it. Oh well. I'm sticking with it. I can't win
but
them all.
I think there
understand.
is an Atlanta person playing Lilith up
Yeah.
for Pew. So
All right. So how many diversities coming out of top 8? How many diversities?
ugh,
Like,
it's
who, like how many diversified
I know
people?
one that's real likely. So I'm gonna guess 2.
2? All right. That's usually what we say. You already guessed 4 for Chicago. That was high.
I'm
I
going to
can't
go
even
1.
tell you who I think it is. I think it's gonna be an Akuma, and I think it's gonna be a Raptor.
Barrett, how many diversities?
I'm gonna go 1. I think the only one. I think only a Raptor will get diversified. To be honest,
I'm gonna go 2. I think 2 is a good number.
because
So,
from what I hear, it's not only that they have multiple people that like Raptor down there, but they're also different decks, and so they want to see like which one's the better one.
Oh, yeah, for
right?
sure.
So like,
That's
so
fine.
they're gonna work their butts off.
So the running total right now is for, let's see, Barrett has 1. I have 2. I have 3. Rob has 1, and our guest hosts have nothing. So come on,
Okay,
guest
Come on,
host.
step it up,
Making
kid,
the
right?
streak, boys.
What?
Yeah, do it.
How do I
breaking
only
the
have
streak.
1?
Oh.
Did I get like 2 points in the first one?
No, you got 1 point because we both hit diversity at 2.
I won. I got 1 point because I hit the
Attendance, and I got a point for Akuma
Sweet.
winning. I have all the records right here. I can take
I
pictures
like
and
this.
send them
I like
to
this
you.
game. I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
It's fun. So yeah. So we'll. So J Ray, thanks for coming on.
Glad to be here.
Appreciate it.
Good to hang out.
Congratulations on your win. And
Thank you.
so
Broke the streak last year. Where I finished second in
Yeah.
everything.
yeah, there you go. You
That's
just
how I felt when I won. I got 3rd place at everything I went to last year until the end.
till the end. Yeah.
You won the right one though of the list. If you
It
had to
was the
fix
good
it.
one. Yeah, it was the good one.
Mhm. All right. So everyone, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Shout
Hey,
outs.
hold on.
What?
Jeremy, do you have any shout outs?
I was gonna
Oh,
do
I
it
was
for
shout
him.
out
I was
too.
gonna do it for him, but it's okay.
I think Chris was setting it up.
I was setting it up.
I don't
up.
buy it.
I like the make sure to block Chris from setting it up, even if you knew he was going to do it. I like
Yeah.
the steal. Shout outs to my brand new team, Legendary Wolf. I think Miles did super good by his guys last season, and I was real jealous all season of their sweet jerseys and the way he took care of them. So,
Yeah.
I liked beating them. It was fun.
but
So did I. Oh, just kidding.
Legendary Wolf 2 for 2 on the PTC so far.
Oh, that's true. That
Yeah.
is true. They have 2 wins underneath their belt this year. So.
I'm real glad to be under the banner. Legitimately,
Cool.
I think Miles is doing something that's positive for both the game and the players. So.
Sure. No, I totally agree.
Take take your gaming from ordinary to legendary.
There you go.
I
But,
can do it too. I'm a sponsored player.
Yeah.
I like. I don't think anybody can disagree with this, but people are already talking about it in the legendary groups. Like when we're talking to each other, we're gonna win almost everything this year. We have a really good group.
Can we get like a clip of Barrett after he won Nats last year?
I'll do.
If we
Dude,
could
Scott.
if we could just get a clip of that, just spliced right in.
I'm just saying.
Otherwise,
Like,
University's going to win everything next year.
yeah, you're right. Well, the thing is, because they lost their best player to Legendary Wolf, Legendary Wolf Games is going to win everything. I'm being completely honest. They expanded their roster and I think everybody's getting better at the game. Everybody's getting smarter. So it's just.
I mean, Shane is he's the John Wick of UFS.
Oh my gosh, don't kick that man's dog.
Like, he is of great determination. He's been waiting for this a long time.
Yeah.
Whatever team he was on is probably going to win a couple of things. So
he got, I believe he just got the okay that he gets to play
soon
in March. I think it's end of March. So not the Atlanta PTC, the one after that.
The one after in California.
But,
yeah.
And Phil's still Phil.
Yeah,
Phil's still going to win a bunch of stuff.
Will Howard's still on there, and I mean,
there's a bunch of other people that haven't necessarily pulled home the W's yet that are very, very good, and they're due, right? So it's a really strong team. But for me, even more so than the team doing well, I just think Miles is doing right by the community by doing something like this. I think it's really cool.
Sure, yeah.
That's by far the biggest thing for me. I don't care if Legendary Wolf wins every event, honestly. Like, it's a cool idea, but I do care that like he's doing something good for the community and doing something positive for the players.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was cool last year, and I feel like it was like an interesting idea, and then like as the year sort of went on, you started to see more of the players like showing up to events and like and I feel like it almost I feel like the Rochester thing started almost as like kind of a joke.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess, but you know, right? It was just like those like three or four guys in Rochester, and they were like, oh well, we'll do this, and then they kind of like had this almost
evil empire thing about them.
It was sort of this thing of like, oh, we're gonna like sponsor this guy for this event or whatever, and it sort of built on that, and then you started seeing like the UFSU guys like having their own little thing, and like. You know, some of the even like the Saltier people like showing up with their their
shirts,
with their store shirts, and like I think it's sort of like a cool thing.
We in Rockford are gonna have shirts too for our team. You know, for our local team, we were gonna have shirts too. So because it's just pride. You know, it's just showing pride in your play group. That's all.
Michigan used to always, in the early days, we used to always come a different Voltron shirt on Teams Day. So every Michigan player would have a Voltron shirt on. That was like we didn't have jerseys, we didn't have an official team name, but we always went with Voltron Kitten Force as our team name. So we'd always rock all the Voltron shirts. And that was kind of our badge of honor during teams. It was always really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it might even have been like the early like Player of the Year stuff where they started keeping track of like states.
Yeah.
And, you know, that sort of gave you something like even if you weren't, like, winning an event, you know, like, you could still, like, contribute to, like, your, like, local being, like, kind of recognized as good.
Yeah.
Yes. The Rochester Orange was really the first real color, and that was always a really cool one, too. And they were also the first people to go outside and scoop up Piglet with the $1 million man.
Yep. Yep. And then it was, you know, UFSU and Legendary... Team Teal and Team Red, as I call them, they were the next two big ones, actually. You know, and then us in Rockford we're appropriately call ourselves Team Blue.
You're bringing out your colors this year.
We're Team Blue, man. Yeah, we're Team Blue. So because
I mean, the big difference obviously is that like you know the Legendary Wolf people like really it's like a year-long thing, and you know obviously there's like. Sort of incentives and compensation and whatnot. I mean, the Rochester stuff is almost just like, you know, you can throw on the shirt. Like, you know, I'll throw on the shirt sometimes at an event just because I'm just like, what's up, guys? Like, just like, troll on everybody.
Yeah.
Piglet claims he's compensated. I don't know if it was just beers or cigars or something. But
I thought it was a private jet, honestly.
Back rubs, right?
Yeah.
And a private jet. Don't forget about that private jet.
Yeah, he definitely says he got a private jet. To this day, you will die by that.
All right. So, again, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
We'll try to get something out for next week. Not sure what we're going to talk about. Maybe we'll get a release date and some news or do whatever. I don't know. Something.
Tier list, man. People love tier lists.
Okay, fine. Tier list. There we go.
Helix the worst.
Yes, he is.
Next.
Yep. He's the Cassie. But anyway.
Aswell is the worst character. No support. He's garbage.
Hot takes. All right.
Ivy's the worst character, so I can break Barrett's heart.
There you go.
No, you're bringing JJ's heart. I don't care about Ivy.
And with that,
JJ
we are
is
going
play
to
that character.
end the
Bring JJ's
episode
heart.
because we're at about 2 hours. So we love you guys. Have a good night.
Okay.
We'll talk to you later. Have a good one.
Nice and short.